Welcome to Nourish by Spinneys, the podcast which promises to inspire you to eat well and live well. I'm Devina Divecha.
And I'm Tiffany Eslick. This is a space where we hope to nourish your heart and soul. On this show, we chat with leading players in the food community, from farmers to foodies, as well as health and well-being experts. It's all about engaging conversations and fresh ideas. So, Devina, last time you rushed out to attend the reveal of the 2023 edition of the Michelin Guide Dubai.
Yeah, I was on a tight timeline that day. It was actually a great afternoon catching up on all the new announcements. But let me give you the highlights. Dubai now has 3 restaurants with 2 stars, 1 new addition compared to last year. We also have 11 restaurants with 1 star with 3 new additions. And there were 2 new additions for the Green Star. We also have 17 Bib Gourmand restaurants and 59 Michelin-selected restaurants.
But no 3 stars yet, I see.
Not yet, but I'm sure we're on our way there. Once the announcement was done, I sat down with Michelin Experience's Director of Communications, Elisabeth Boucher-Anselin, to talk about the evolution of the city's culinary scene.
We could see the positive emulation that was at stake in Dubai this last month. And it comes to new starred restaurants, new Bib Gourmand restaurant, new Green Star restaurants. And we are very, very happy to give that accolade to the Dubai culinary scene. We have 2 new additions when it deals with the Michelin Green Star, which is something, especially here. We were super glad to see how some chefs were committed to sustainable gastronomy, making sure that food waste was taken care of, making sure that reducing the carbon footprint was definitely in their mind, working with local producer, making sure that the communication to the teams, the training of the teams, but most importantly, the communication to the customers was definitely a key point in their philosophy of cuisine, to make sure that everyone going to a Green Star restaurant leave the restaurant with a nice dining experience, but also being fulfilled with something a bit bigger.
You know, for our listeners, can you just talk a little bit more about what goes into selecting a Green Star restaurant?
Yes, we are looking for pioneers, front runners, people who are deeply committed into making the food industry change, basically. They do believe that they want to provide great meals, to craft great dishes for their guests, but they also want to have a sustainable approach in the way they are making their job.
Yeah.
And that we are definitely very, very happy to be able to award 3 restaurants here in Dubai. And I'm glad to know that you know them pretty well.
Yeah, we sure do. All 3 restaurants are absolute favorites, and we've also featured them in some capacity over the years. For context, Lo was awarded the first Green Star in Dubai last year. This year, Bocca, which won a number of awards for sustainability, was added to the list along with Table.
I am so thrilled for Omar and the Bocca team. I think he lives and breathes his passion for sustainability. Whenever I spend time with him, I just want to go out and do good or, change something in my life to be more sustainable. And I think he really, really deserves this recognition. You know, it's a long time overdue.
Yeah, definitely.
And, you spoke to Chef Carlos from Table last year on the show.
Yeah, and during our chat, he also told me about his and his team's philosophy of being close to zero food waste.
In the kitchen, I think our last report was 3.5% of wastage. We only we try to eliminate tissues and plastics, but food wastage, we have 2 garbage bags. You can see it. We have one for food, and we have one where we put plastics and tissues only. And we recycle it separately and we give it to the garbage people. Well, I think one of my pastry chef, she told me, Shirin, she's like, listen, we need to use everything. I have fennel and the offcuts of fennel.
Yeah.
She used it to make her granita. Sorry, not ice cream.
Oh, very cool.
Granita.
Yeah.
But my zero wastage of food, it's more like through fermentation, how I can make sure preserve and keep it for a long time.
Yeah.
And use it for next season or this season.
Any other highlights from the announcements?
Yes, actually. So there was a new category which is special to Dubai this year. It's not a category that's in any of the other lists around the world, and that's called the Opening of the Year. So this went to Ariana's Persian Kitchen by Chef Ariana Bundi, which is located at Atlantis The Royal Hotel.
We wanted to put the spotlight on the capacity of great professionals to invent new places that are qualitative as soon as they open.
Okay.
And for us, it means something. It means that the level of, the demanding level that needs to be put on when we want to provide good food, good service, and everything is here, and that's what they did. So we wanted to say, hey, look at this.
Yeah, and we obviously launched in Dubai last year. How would you say the reception had been, a year ago to the list coming out here? And since that 1 year, have you changed anything about your approach to the Dubai F&B market?
No, we are sticking to our methodology and very proud of it. It's an international methodology. It means that Dubai is treated like any other great city in the world. And it also means that 1 star in Dubai worth 1 star in Paris or New York or wherever. So no, sticking to the same methodology. The star, for example, is based on 5 criteria, whether it has 1, 2, or 3 stars. Those criteria are the same everywhere. And we were very happy. The inspection team of the Michelin Guide was very happy to see that it was evolving still this year. We have 3 new 1 star, 1 new 2 stars. It's very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
For those of our listeners who may not know, can you just briefly tell us what the 5 criteria are for to be awarded a star with Michelin?
Yes, with pleasure. So the 5 criteria of the Michelin Guide are the following. The first one is the quality of the products. Super important, and I know that it's important for you too.
Yeah.
So that's the very first criteria. The second one is the mastery of cooking techniques. Basically, how to cook things properly, but also how to cut meat, fish, etc., etc. The third one is the harmony of flavors, the way they are balanced in the plate, in the dish that is crafted by the chef and its team. And then the fourth one is the personality of the chef as it is expressed in his cooking. As you know, every chef puts a bit of his soul in the food that he is making. So that's an important criteria for us. And last but not least, the 5th criteria is all about consistency. Consistency all over the menu, but also consistency throughout the year. Anytime when our inspectors go and sit at a table, they want to find the same quality.
Right.
It's very, very important.
Yeah. Has anything surprised you about Dubai's restaurant scene since the time that you've entered the market?
Well, probably for the Michelin Guide inspectors, the most striking are 2 things. The first thing is the incredible diversity of cuisines. 23 different cuisine styles in the Michelin Guide in this 2023 Dubai edition.
It's impressive. Yeah.
It's very impressive. And it demonstrates how open-minded diners are behaving in Dubai. It's great. They can switch from Indian cuisine to French cuisine to Italian, and they're super happy and open-minded, just like our inspectors. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the high level of service.
Yeah.
Super high level of service. We have an award dedicated to it for service, but also an award dedicated to sommelier. For us, it's also part of the experience and enhancing the dining experience with great service and with great advice provided by a sommelier is very important. So yeah, Dubai is pretty good at this.
And do you feel that it has changed in any way since you launched the guide last year?
I would say that for our inspection teams, There's a positive emulation created. And as you could see in this second edition, some chefs were promoted this year. So it definitely means that still pleasing their guests, they raised the bar, they raised the level of their cooking techniques and so on. And for us, it's worth mentioning it.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how dynamic the food scene in Dubai has been over the last month.
Yeah, and I think as you say, there were new additions to the list, and Tresson Studio, for example, I think it moved up a star. It had one star last year, and 2 stars were awarded this year. So, like you said, it's great to see that growth. We'll continue our conversation with Elisabeth along with her advice to restaurants right after this short break. Welcome back. You're listening to Nourished by Spinneys and our conversation with Elisabeth Boucher-Anselin, Director of Communications at Michelin Experiences. I guess I'd like to ask, what made you decide, or what made Michelin decide that Dubai was ready for a guide?
Well, like Gwendal Poulenec says, the international director of the Michelin Guide, it's a combination of several criteria, but we thought we've been scouting Dubai as a destination and as a culinary hotspot for almost 10 years. Gwendal was following that very carefully. And at a certain point, the inspectors said, you know what? This is now a very mature food scene.
Yeah.
So it's worth demonstrating to the world how interesting Dubai food scene is.
Yeah.
And that's why we started to say, hey, we have to do something. And the second thing was we could see the dynamism.
Yes.
For us, the Michelin Guide is never coming for 1 year. It's always a long-term decision. So we want to be able to reflect the dynamism of the talents that are evolving here, and we could see some chefs mature enough to own the city in a way, and also international chefs coming, being very happy to open tables here, and homegrown chefs opening their own places. Very interesting too, because they have a different approach. And all this mixed up together. Oh, yes. The inspector said, oh, that's the moment.
Like you say, no, it's fascinating around homegrown as well. A lot of chefs who've perhaps grown up in Dubai too, kind of launching in the market. Carlos from Table, for example, he's a Dubai kid. So is Suleiman from Moonrise. So like you say, it is genuinely.
And so young.
Yes, exactly. When they told me how old they were, I thought, wow, you guys are really doing something kind of impressive at your age, but in this market, which is not easy. With so many restaurants.
Exactly. And there's no age for talent.
Yeah, agreed.
And we were very happy also to, put the spotlight on those talents who are always very happy to talk for their teams too.
Yes.
Because, today, to match those 5 criteria, you can't do that alone.
Exactly.
So we were also quite impressed by the leadership of these chefs, even quite young, to manage strong teams and make sure that they are providing a qualitative service every day.
Yeah, I mean, even the chefs who went up and spoke, most of them, I think, mentioned their teams, seems basic, but it's nice to see. That they're acknowledging them.
It was natural.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking about, your inspectors as well and them saying Dubai is ready as a market. I mean, approximately in general, I guess, how many inspectors do you have in a market?
So we never communicate on the figures of the inspectors. What I can say is that it's an international team that is crafting every year the selection of the Michelin Guide. This way, there are no bias. It's not a French team. It's not an American team. It's a global team that is sitting anonymously at the restaurants in Dubai. More than 20 nationalities are at stake within these international teams of inspectors. And this way, never going twice to the same place and crossing their experiences, they're able to put together a wonderful selection and to give the distinctions.
So on average, how many times would an inspector eat out, in a year, I don't know, or a month?
Oh, it depends. But, roughly it's 2 meals a day.
Outside.
One at lunch,
right.
one at dinner. And they are very, very happy to do so. Of course, there are the weekends and then other moments when they are off. But it's between 300 to 350 meals a year.
Wow.
So, yeah,
that's impressive.
Yes, it's impressive. But they're passionate people, expert people. It's wonderful the way they are talking about the experiences they had thanks to these chefs and their teams. What they want is to reflect the great experiences that they had in the guide, to share that with as many people as possible.
And I mean, what other qualities, I guess, do you look for in an inspector? If, someone said, I actually really am passionate about food or restaurants and I want to be an inspector for Michelin, like what would make you even consider someone to be an inspector with you?
First of all, you have to have been working in a restaurant for several years, either as a chef, pastry chef, sommelier. But we want people who knows what is a restaurant.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And then, depending on their profile and experience, they are interviewed by people in our teams. Obviously, during a lunch.
Obviously, yeah.
That's an interview that is happening during a lunch, and then they are trained at Michelin by senior inspectors during roughly 2 years.
Right. Okay.
Yes, that's very important for us to maintain this consistency all around the world and make sure that those experiences are at the standard that Michelin is expected.
I want to talk a little bit more about the kind of the global lists as well. Like, are you seeing any kind of trends in restaurants, after all the lists you compile, across amazing gastronomic cities in the world? What are we seeing right now happening in the world of culinary?
Well, first of all, and maybe COVID accelerated that point, more and more talented chefs are trying to make good food, but not only. They are conscious that if they want to keep playing with the ingredients and having fun in their kitchen, they have to think of the future. And that's why many of them are now moving forward in a more sustainable gastronomy kind of spirit. And it's great to see that. And it's happening all around the world.
Yeah.
And accelerated, as I said, since COVID. So maybe that's the first thing. The second thing is they are keen to please local foodies who are now true experts. Local foodies it's a very demanding type of customers. But because of that, the level is going up. We have no quotas at the Michelin Guide, but it was obvious that we have many more restaurants coming into the Michelin Guide family and having stars than in the previous years because the level is going up. And maybe the last thing is the quality of the global experience. Service, the sommelier advice, front of house in general. It's very interesting to see that whatever the type of cuisine, the general experience that the diner are going to have is taken care of by the chef. And it's part of the global philosophy. And we like it because a great service is also a nice way to say, hey, I want to go back. I want to go back to this place. Next time with my family, next time with my husband, wife, whatever. And that's good. That's what we want. We want people to go to the restaurants.
Yeah, and go and eat some great food. I'd like to end by asking if you have any advice for chefs and restaurants, not necessarily to get on the list? I mean, you've already outlined the criteria. But obviously there is a pressure, I guess, once you get a star, I think, it's like they want to keep it or they want to get more stars. Any advice for these chefs and their teams now that they've won stars or been awarded more?
The only advice is keep on doing what you like. We don't want you to work for the Michelin Guide. We want you to work for your guests, for your customers. Among them, there may be a Michelin Guide inspector. It's true, but we don't want you to work for us. The idea is to get the accolade of the Michelin Guide to reward the extraordinary work you've been already doing. Keep your personality, keep daring, keep trying, keep innovating. We like innovators too, because that's why the Green Star arrived.
Yeah.
Because some chefs, they tried, they failed, they tried again, they succeeded, and then we thought we have to reward those chefs. So there was no advice to do that. They did it alone. And we were just here right after to say, this is great. So only advice is keep doing what you're doing and keep doing what you love doing.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that chat. I genuinely enjoyed it. And it was great to see the list come out today. Looking forward to trying the restaurants I haven't already. But thank you again, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
So before we wrap up, has the guide added any restaurants to your visit list that weren't already there?
Well, as you know, I got a lot.
Yes.
So I've actually been to all the Bib Gourmand restaurants. So that's, at least I don't have to now, start doing that. I am quite keen to check out Dinner by Heston. I went to the one in London years ago and was thrilled with that experience. So I want to see if there's consistency and if it's carried through here. And then Haseki. So many people have told me about that and how they've enjoyed the experiences. So yeah, that is on the list.
That is on your list. Nice. This episode was brought to you by Spinneys and is hosted by me, Devina Divecha, and Tiffany Eslick. We're produced by Chirag Desai, and artwork is by Michelle Clements and Jihan Yusuf. You can follow Spinneys on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for more, and visit us at spinneys.com, where you can shop for fresh produce and a variety of local and exclusive products. And you can catch our previous episodes with the people behind some of Michelin's recognized restaurants in your podcast app.
We'll be back in 2 weeks with our final episode of the season. See you then.
Woohoo! I seem to have hit record. Okay.
You are so good at this.
Chirag, I'm coming for your job. No.
Yeah, watch it, Chirag.
He's going to be listening to
Only
this.
took us a whole season to learn how to take over.